Alright guys, so we're going a little bit different. Usually you see us work on Jeeps on this channel, but we got something else going on. We got a 06 F250 and we've got hot start issues. So we're tearing it down. We got to do some testing on the top end, and we also noticed that we were looking stuff over. We got a radiator to replace. So the big process right now is getting all this stuff out of the way. Now we started some of this last night, so let's go ahead and take a look at that and get caught up before we come back here. Alright, what a pain that was.
The next day.
So I'm going to try to walk you through pulling the radiator. This one in particular is cracked right here along the top end cap. It's pretty easy. I've already started draining the coolant out of the system, which there's a petcock down there on the lower, or it'll be left hand side. There should be a video kind of clipped in on this that shows where it's at, and you'll just twist a little white piece to unlock it, and then you can either run a hose down to a container, or if you've got it like I am, you can just set a container underneath it and it'll drain straight into it. This piece here, this little plastic cover thing, I don't think it actually has to come off, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off real quick just to give me a little more sight between the actual radiator and the condenser. Just because I honestly, more than anything, I'm curious. But if you want to, all it is the little. I've got one setting up here. These little push clip type things. Those push retainers. I'm just gonna use this trim tool to pop them out real quick, and then we'll pop that off and let it finish draining. Now it's worth mentioning, actually, I'm glad that broke. On a truck this old, this is an 06 with 194,000 on it, I think. On something this old that heat cycled a bunch of times, chances are you're gonna break them. They get very brittle because they're plastic, and even with something like a trim tool, they're so brittle. There's very little chance of actually saving them. They're cheap enough that I'm not worried about you know, buying another set of them or something if I have to. I've actually got a bunch of them laying around, but just be forewarned, especially given the fact that this probably doesn't have to come off anyway. If you don't want to mess with it, then I probably wouldn't, but like I said, I want the extra line of sight behind here, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off. I've actually broken fewer than I've saved, so that's always good. And it should, once they're all released, just kind of work its way out pretty easily. It's just a little rubber shield, so you can kind of bend and manipulate it a little as you need. And just like that, it's off.
So the first special tool you guys are going to run into is a 307459 transmission disconnects tool. Now if you don't have one of those, we just found out that you can actually unthread the base of the line from the radiator. So just get yourself a adjustable wrench and pull that bad boy off there. As long as you're replacing it.
It's probably frowned upon.
Right.
Brass and the plastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hello? Oh, it's caught in the fuck. Oh, god damn it. Hang on. Yeah, they don't mention that, but I'm pretty sure you gotta separate it, because I think the bottom of that shroud's getting caught on the fan. Whereas if you just separate it, pull the radiator out, then you got enough room to pull the shroud out. Pretty decent.
Yep. Looks like it will. Well, you'll probably end up pulling it.
I have to do it when I get it up, yeah.
Actually, let's just get this over top of that fan hub and it'll come right out.
Hang on.
There you go.
It matters because it was already fixed up.
These are the fittings we were talking about right here for the transmission lines. Once again, you can pull those out with a wrench, so those factory fittings right there can stay on. Now we're still going to have to go ahead and disconnect the lines to put them in for the new radiator, but in a pinch, if you want to just keep your job moving, just go ahead and unthread them if you're replacing the radiator anyway, and go on with it. So tool number 2 that you're probably going to need if you don't have it is you're going to need a fan hub wrench. You can order one, you can make one, you can go rent one from a dollar store or auto parts store, whatever you got to do. Just make sure you got a fan wrench. So as you can see here, guys, the battle is still on pulling stuff off the top side of the engine. We got to get down in there. Got the fan shroud out, radiator out. Now it's time to start pulling ancillaries off the top of the engine. Make sure you're careful when you do this. Don't want to pierce any hoses, puncture anything, break any connectors, so on and such forth. If you have open passages in the block that you open up by removing stuff, put little plastic plugs or something down in there to keep stuff from falling in your engine. It'd be a really costly mistake to drop something down in there. We are going to have to rent a wrench for the fan hub down there. We do not have one. I do not have one here in the shop, so that is something that we're going to have to remedy. But right now we're trying to work around that as much as we can and continue pulling stuff off. So we'll update you when we get further.
Later.
Alright guys, so here we are now. We've got everything torn down from the valley as far as we need to do some diagnosis. We're going to be pulling this fitting right here off the cylinder head. We're going to be installing a fitting for air pressure, and we're going to air check the high pressure oil system for this. So we're going to go ahead and get that done, and I'll get you back as soon as we got that fitting out of there and we got the air check in.
No oil inside the thing, which is good. So it should. Check. That should thread right in there. Yeah.
So guys, here's a little rig we made up to do this. We use this fitting right here, which you can order online. I will put a link in the description. Then I just took a regular air chuck, and I took the air nozzle off the end, put another air coupler on there, and put an air coupler on the fitting itself so we can see how much air we are applying. I just have 160 pounds of shop air total. We did put the IPR valve back in because as soon as we started doing this the first time, we started hearing gurgling in the back. It's not going to build pressure that way. Put that back in, so we're going to give it another shot and see what we got.
Very faintly.
So did you want to pull the top off of the oil canister and listen inside it as well?
Yeah, I can.
So what we're listening for is we're listening for the air to escape. This is a HUE system, hydraulic electric unit injectors, which means it uses high pressure oil to actually give the fuel pressure to inject. So what we're doing now is putting shop air through the high pressure oil lines and listening with our ears for any type of gurgle. So the air compressor just kicked on, so we're gonna have to wait a minute, but we do hear a gurgle coming from the left side of the engine where the oil filler is. So we're going to give it a second, let it calm down, let the air compressor turn back off, build up a little bit of pressure, and see exactly what we got. Alright, so another thing I wanted to show you guys real quick is after we pressurize this rail, exactly how fast the pressure bleeds from the system. So let's go ahead and take a look. So definitely sounds like the passenger side head, the passenger side oil manifold is what's leaking. We can hear it through the oil fill tube. We can't really hear anything from the other side, the actual draft tube or PCV tube. So it doesn't sound like it's coming from over there, although it seems like some of the noise that we're hearing from the actual oil filter housing is identical to the noise that we're hearing over here. So we definitely got to tear down a little bit more. So the next step is going to be us tearing down the cylinder heads, pulling off the valve covers and getting down into the valley, and then we will do a little bit more when we get parts. That's going to be the end of this video, so where we're going to throw this one together, and I will pick up with you guys in the next one when we know 100% sure what's going on and how everything is working out. So thanks so much guys, and we'll see you next time.